photosynthesis. Let's get into this discussion of sunlight and transfer of energy. Photosynthesis. Let's get into this process of chemical reaction. Plants take water, sun, and CO2 to make glucose, the sugar that they use for food. They also put oxygen into the air so we can share, because oxygen is everywhere. The energy transforms from solar to chemical all the time, everywhere. The process is identical in every plant and every tree, enabling all living things to be. Photosynthesis. Let's get into this discussion of sunlight and transfer of energy. Photosynthesis. Let's get into this process of chemical reaction to synergy. Photosynthesis. Let's get into this discussion of sunlight and transfer of energy. Photosynthesis. Let's get into this process of chemical reaction. Let's take a look at the light reaction, making chemical energy when light is captured. Electrons flow through the photosystems, flowing so fast you might have missed them. Within the chloroplast lies the action. The thylakoid membrane is where it happens. ATP and NADPH are products of light, water, air, and space. Photosynthesis. Let's get into this discussion of sunlight and transfer of energy. Photosynthesis. Let's get into this process of chemical reaction to synergy. Photosynthesis. Let's get into this discussion of sunlight and transfer of energy. Photosynthesis. Let's get into this process of chemical reaction. The Calvin cycle or dark reaction doesn't need direct sunlight for it to run right. CO2 from the air enters the chloroplast, mixing with organic molecules for the last time with the help of an enzyme from disco called the fixation. I thought you knew this, yo. It forms a carbohydrate known as G3P. It's created, recreated, and recycled, you see. Photosynthesis. Let's get into this discussion of sunlight and transfer of energy. Photosynthesis. Let's get into this process of chemical reaction to synergy. Photosynthesis. Let's get into this discussion of sunlight and transfer of energy. Photosynthesis. Let's get into this process of chemical reaction. Leaves on trees and even weeds meet needs, making oxygen we need to breathe. You wanna learn it with these, you wanna master the keys. It's photosynthesis, listen to this please. Leaves on trees and even weeds meet needs, making oxygen we need to breathe. You wanna learn it with these, you wanna master the keys. It's photosynthesis, listen to this please. Photosynthesis. Let's get into this discussion of sunlight and transfer of energy. Photosynthesis. Let's get into this process of chemical reaction to synergy. Photosynthesis. Let's get into this discussion of sunlight and transfer of energy. Photosynthesis. Let's get into this process of chemical reaction.
Cellular respiration. That song was better, actually. Some of those songs keep me dumb. That one actually was definitely easy. Alright, so good job. We got a couple more slots. We're filled up through next Tuesday. Anybody else want to do a biological thought? Wants to sign up? Come see me after. Alright, let's get started with a prayer. So, back corner. Can we say a prayer? Yeah.
Amen.
Alright, so hopefully you went to the devotional today. It was a pretty good message about genuine gold. Who knew there was some use for gold? I thought he was very well spoken. Alright, so the test starts, let's say Tuesday. It opens today and runs through Friday. Is that what I said for this class?
Yeah. What time is it?
It opened this morning. But it will close Friday when the testing center closes. So I have another class that's staggered a day or two, so I'm getting the two sections confused. So we'll finish up chapter 8 today, and then you can take the test whenever you like. Any questions on anything? Alright, so here we go. Oh, actually, let's do this. mitosis. What is the first stage of mitosis? Prophase. Wait, what? Interphase. Well, if you answer prophase, you are correct. That is the first stage of mitosis. But before you get to mitosis, you have interphase. What happens in interphase? Anything interesting? It's growing, usually doubling in size, preparing for the mitotic phase. Or what do you say? The cell spends about 90% of its time in this, performing its function. Whether it's a muscle cell, a pancreatic cell, or something, it does its function here. So the next phase, now starting in the mitotic phase. What's the first phase? What happens in prophase? What? The chromosomes stick together. They are called sister chromatids. They've already been replicated. The DNA replicates over here. We should say that. Sister chromatids will remain bound together. What else happens? The spindle starts, or the centrosomes, the spindle in the centrosome starts to form. What else? Nuclear envelope. Nuclear envelope disintegrates. I feel like there's something else. What's the next phase? What happens here? Spindle's fully formed, and it starts to, it connects to the chromatids. Line to the tug. You say next to the sister chromatids, and we'll call it the tug of war. Because of the tug of war, where do they end up? Middle of the cell. That's the name meta. What's the next phase? The sister chromatids separate. And then they start to pull towards the opposite poles. What also happens? How does the spindle pull? Does it just pull them apart? What else does the spindle do? The spindle actually elongates, so it pulls the chromatids apart, but the spindle actually has other fibers that pull apart, so it pushes away from each other. The spindle elongates, as well as the cell. Cell elongates. Last phase. What happens here? Cell starts to split in two, so that cytokinesis is out here. Sometimes people put it underneath telophase, sometimes they don't. They're associated. Basically, in telophase, the opposite of prophase happens, or reverse of prophase. The nuclear envelope will form. The spindle starts to